Will Philip Cheney continue his winning streak for Canada? Will Tristan Hart take command of the lead over Evan Smith? Or will American Sprint Enduro champion Evan Smith add his name to that coveted Corduroy trophy dating back to 1953? And now, the Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes.
Let's go on.
This broadcast of the Promation Corduroy Enduro is brought to you in part by Promation, world-class automation, robotics, and tooling systems. GP Bikes has you covered head to toe. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. Hello everyone and welcome to day 2 of the 66th Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes. Pat Gonzalez along with multi-time champion Blair Sharpless. Blair, a very interesting day 1, but now it really gets serious for the pro and the expert riders and all of the other classes. They've got 9 tests to complete today. It's going to be a long and grueling day.
Yeah, it is. We've got a lot of riding to do out there. We're going to have some hot weather again, so I think it's going to be quite a test for the riders today.
Well, it'll be interesting. We've got almost 400 riders here for the Cord this year. As Blair said, weather's been great. Maybe a little bit of rain tomorrow, but no doubt about it, this is going to be a fiercely contested 66 Corduroy Enduro. Blair, as we see row 1 starting off here on day number 2, let's do a recap of the pros from day 1. We kicked it off with the opening test at Larry's where Evan Smith went right to the front, Tristan Hart, Philip Cheney. Then it was Evan Smith again winning the second test. On to test number 3, where Smith ran it to 3 in a row, won again, and then we headed to Greens Mountain, the toughest test of the day. That's where Philip Cheney moved to the front with the win, and that tightened things up very close between the overall leader, Evan Smith, and second place, 2-time champion Philip Cheney.
Yeah, no surprise with the top 4. Great ride for Ryder Heacock in 5th overall. But Connor Brogan, I'm sure he wants to get day 1 over again. He fell down a few times, not the day he wanted. Hopefully he'll turn things around today. The top 5 riders, though, are all within a minute of each other. That's going to change today with the longer tests and more of them.
Beautiful, cool morning here in the Halliburton Highlands. Blair Sharpless as we get set for Scott and Sue.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with enduro. It's not like motocross where you know you'll be warmed up right away. Off the start, they had this transit, so they got to get rid of their coat. If they didn't wear a coat, they're trying to get warmed up before they go into the first test.
And there you see Jeremy LeBreton out of Seattle, Washington, leading this first group out.
As we watch 3A off the start there.
Jake Michaud. There's a little fist bump between Tristan Hart and Francois Patterson.
Yeah, let's see how Tristan goes in this one. See what he thinks of Scott and Sue. Beautiful terrain here. Tristan rounding one of the first corners with Jake Michaud in tow.
Jake Michaud, the 2016 Corduroy Enduro champion in top. There's a beautiful overhead shot.
That's the Irondale River there. They're running around. Some of the old cords used to cross the river.
Philip Cheney carrying one of our helmet cams that should give us some great coverage. Ryder Heacock and Kevin Benoit, the motocross expert, out here in this group.
Cheney looked quick off the start there. He's on it right away. Got a little air off the 2 of the bumps off the start.
Go on board with Philip Cheney as he's pulled well ahead of the other 2 riders in his group as they run here this single track. And there's some real cord here in the Corduroy Enduro.
Yeah, corduroy section covering the mud there. As Cheney comes back down onto one of the beach sections there. I think actually Ryder Heacock stuck with him most of the way through this test. Ryder's been having a good weekend so far. Cheney's already caught up to Patterson here, so he's made a minute on Patterson in this first test already.
You're watching the Promation Corduroy Enduro here on Rev TV. GP Bikes is Canada's power sports authority. Your one-stop shop for parts, accessories, apparel, motorcycles, and service. Street, off-road, adventure, ATV, snow, and marine. Order online or come visit our 50,000 square foot showroom stacked floor to ceiling with all your favorite brands. Our friendly expert staff can help you get geared up for your next adventure. Find what you need for your ride at gpbikes.com. The Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes, 1953 to 2023. Join us in Gooderham, Ontario, September 21st to 24th. As we go back here, Evan Smith, McRitchie, along with Connor Brogan.
Yeah, and Theo's dropped back a minute here. He's gone off with Nick Farringer. Looks like Nick's off to a quick start too. Through the first couple of corners here.
Farringer had a pretty good opening day, and now we go with some of our top expert riders. Zach Cleland and Cameron Harris, each won tests yesterday as they look to stay near the top among our expert riders.
Yeah, the riders coming to the finish. There's Cheney through the finish. We'll get the times up here. Nick Farringer looks like he's finished strongly too.
All right, Ryder Heacock, Philip Cheney, how was the first test?
Good, I think. Me and Ryder, we follow each other all day, so.
Felt really good in there. I kept up with Phil, so I think that's a pretty good time. We just set. Tired now, though.
Hey, Tristan, how was Scott and Sue's?
It was not bad. I missed a corner that I don't think was marked that well, but I think everyone missed it, so it's all good.
Yeah, you can see there the ribbon on the tree. So obviously Tristan went straight through. Probably someone before him took the ribbon out, and then once that ribbon's gone, it's easy for the riders to miss.
Finish 2, first, third.
I did miss that one left-hander.
Yeah, you do.
Evan Smith, how are the woods of Ontario treating you today?
Pretty fun. They're good. They're rocky though. They're sketchy.
The riders have made their way to Miserable Lake after a transit of some 12 kilometers along gravel roads as we look at Tristan Hart ready to head out. The riders here on minute number 4.
Yeah, off the go. You can see this is the classic corduroy terrain up here. All this big bald rocks, Canadian Shield, where the glaciers scraped all the dirt off. It's sort of your geography lesson for the day. Got Cheney off the line, leading his group into this. Cheney knows this section, so I see him doing very well in this test.
Philip Cheney away. Now we go back to Evan Smith, who will lead the group here on minute number 6. And he has won 5 of the first 6 tests here in the Corduroy Enduro.
And here's Nick Farringer off, leading his group. This is really fast, really sketchy at the first, especially with the loose rock and stuff like that. Desert racers may like it, but enduro riders find maybe it's a little tricky that way.
Some of our expert riders and now our women pros did not race in day 1, but they pick it up here. Melissa Hart out of Calgary on the beta, Shelby Turner, and of course Emma Sharpless. Blair, she is a chip off the old block.
Well, Emma, there's Emma there. She's had a hard time at the corduroy. Her first year went well, but since then she's been having some trouble with the difficult terrain up here. On board here with Cheney now. He's coming up to the Beaver Dam. The water's not too deep this year, so should be no issue. Yeah, he's getting through the water fine. And that big flat rock here and everything like that.
Oh, and Cheney goes down here. Here you can see Ryder Heacock going by. So Philip Cheney, who was looking for...
He's having a hard time getting it out of the bush there, too. That's really uncharacteristic of Philip Cheney. He's a very solid, consistent rider. So he's got to make up some time now. I think he's going to be going a little harder than he probably feels comfortable on this fast stuff now to make up that time. You can see some dust from the rider in front, so maybe he's already catching the guy up from his fall. Let's hope he can make the time back up and still put a decent time in.
So he is on the charge here. Philip Cheney, after putting it on the ground, just ahead of him is Jean-Olivier Goulet.
Yeah, he's caught back up to him quickly, considering how long it took him to get the bike out of the bush there. And you'll see, you're going to hear Philip yell here. So in a trail like this, when you catch up to a slower rider, you yell. As long as that rider knows you're quicker, he's going to move over, because then he can get behind you and hopefully improve his time too, instead of holding you up. At least that's what most of the riders do. It's kind of like trail etiquette, race etiquette.
Well, indeed, Jean-Olivier Goulet, 20-year-old out of Laval, Quebec on that KTM, doing a nice job there, staying out of the way of Philip Cheney as he continues to charge.
He's catching up to Patterson. Now, Patterson started the row in front. He's on row 4, so Cheney's already made a minute on Patterson. Again, all that trying to find his way through here quickly. Now he's caught Ryder Heacock. You can see the difference in the two-stroke. Ryder's having a hard time hooking up there, and he's looking a little squirrely. He's going to get a lot better and smoother now that he has Cheney out in front of him.
Philip Cheney on the charge. Here he is coming up on Justin Brasseur on the KTM. He'll go around that number 4C machine on the KTM.
So Phillips made a minute on Justin now too. Did you see Cheney just reached up and wiped his camera off? He's amazing. He's trying to make time back up, and yet he still has the presence of mind to wipe the camera off for us. He's a great guy to put a camera on. Little problem with the navigation there. That's the problem up on the big flat rock. There's no marked trail because the bikes just don't leave a mark. So he has to look around a little bit there. Stalled the bike too there for a second, but with the electric start, no problem at all. Now he's caught, I think, row 1. That's Felt, an expert on row 1. So he's got a good ride going here other than the start.
So let's have a look at the results here of our 7th test of the Corduroy Enduro. It is Evan Smith taking the win at Miserable Lake. Tristan Hart in second. Philip Cheney rode his heart out to get back there to finish third. Ryder Heacock with another top 5 finish, and Dylan McCritchie rounding out the top 5. Evan Smith continues to lead to some 36 seconds over Philip Cheney. Coming up, more from the Halliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. That is young Jacob Carney, perhaps a future Cord competitor.
Yeah, I wonder if Jacob counts his birthdays like I used to, and how many more until he can ride the Corduroy.
Well, there you see Jeremy LeBreton across the Burt River, part of the transit here down from our previous test.
You can see this is a transit. The riders aren't in a hurry, but if they make a little mistake and tip over here, they could end their whole weekend watering the bike out. What I find funny is they're listening to a cameraman. At an obstacle like this, I never listen to a cameraman because he wants you to go where it's going to make good photos. So, but anyway, I think this time he's actually telling them what to do. A lot of these guys, they don't know what route or whatever. When you get to the riders who've ridden the court before, they know exactly where to go. There's a good route, like just to swoop around downstream a little bit. The water's not quite as deep. It's not bad when you're going through first guy because you stand up on the pegs, you can see where all the rocks are. But after that, it gets churned up. If you're with a bunch of riders, you can't see the rocks, so you better to probably just sit down. Here we got Cheney standing up. He can see every rock through there, so he can work his way around them.
And of course, Cheney has done this many, many times before as a 2-time Cord champion.
Ryder Heacock, he's, I guess, what we could call a local boy. He only lives about an hour from here. He doesn't hesitate at all. He knows exactly where to go.
And here is our overall leader, Evan Smith. He gets through there quite nicely.
Yeah, now you're going to see a big contrast. That's how the pros do it. Nice and easy. It's just a transit. We don't have to hurry or anything like that. When you see the amateurs get here, it's quite a different story how they approach it. They're not quite as calm and cool and collected as the pros are. In contrast, what you're seeing here, the novices don't really know what line. They just sort of pin it and hope they're going to make it across, which isn't so successful sometimes.
And there's one of our riders not quite making it to the other side of the Burnt River.
Yeah, they claim someone every year. Usually claims a couple. If they're lucky, 2 strokes are pretty easy to get the water out of and get them running. 4 strokes, not so easy.
On the double track, heading down to the first gas stop. There you saw Tristan Hart going by on the 4B machine. And of course, our announcing colleague, Natasha LaChapelle, getting ready to grab some interviews at that first gas stop.
Yep, we're at gas 1 now. You can see our gas truck here. For the riders who don't have a gas crew, they just throw their can on the truck along with some spare goggles, gloves, some food, whatever they can attach to their gas can. And when they get to the gas stop there, it's waiting for them.
It's going well so far. First test was a lot of fun. That was pretty similar to what I ride at home, so I enjoyed that. And then Miserable Lake was pretty miserable. It was pretty scary to ride through there. I think I still won the test, which I'm happy about, but I'm glad because I really couldn't have gone any faster through there. And then the river was scary.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I know this is a bad line. So
I was going to tell you about that, but I forgot.
Hey Connor, how are you doing this morning?
We're doing okay. It's been tough. First couple tests made some mistakes, but looking to turn it around this afternoon and trying to keep up with Evan and the other guys on my minute.
Deuxième position, à égal avec Tristan, je pense, après 2 tests. Evan, il y a déjà une petite avance dessus nous autres, puis can wait for the next test, and we'll be tight all day and ready for the 6, 7 next test.
Actually, the first test was going pretty good. I had the pace with Phil and Ryder, and just the last minute in that test I fell and just lost all the ground. But in the second test was wow, miserable lake they call it. Yeah, miserable. It was not my thing at all, but I didn't crash, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, we'll try to enjoy the rest of the day.
Awesome, good luck. On a Jérémy Daudelin avec nous. Comment ça va avec toi ce matin?
Ça va très bien à date. On garde le beat, puis on a du fun. On a pogné une spéciale, c'est très rapide. Là. Ça va être des plus belles pour nous autres qu'on trouve. Puis je pense qu'on va avoir bien du fun tout le restant de la journée.
Parfait, bonne chance.
Merci.
How's everything going for you today?
It's kind of a rocky start. Literally, the last 2 sections are pretty rocky, and the second one was long and fast, so it didn't really suit my comfort zone, but I tried to minimize mistakes and just kind of keep it smooth on the Sherco. You know, miserable lake, if it was the one I was thinking of, I didn't enjoy it as some of the tests yesterday, so I don't want to say it was miserable. I was riding a dirt bike, but it was rough. It was rough.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you today.
Thank you.
The seam actually lets go. I believe the ethanol is probably eating the epoxy that they're glued on, so then you only end up with about quarter throttle. We're able to take it all apart and put a big pen to bypass that filter.
Good idea.
I don't know about brains, but yeah, I'd prefer the bike to actually run on full throttle, so it was like, get this thing fixed or it ain't gonna be much of a race here.
I'm tied in 3rd right now, so it's going okay. We'll have to find some more time in these next couple tests. The first one I got lost twice, and the second one was fast. Evan smoked us all, so hopefully I can go fast on these next tests and catch up to the leaders.
So far so good. The first 2 tests went really good. Sections have been a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of the ISDE, so it's awesome to be here, and it's really good training and practice for everyone who's going there this year. So yeah, I'm super happy with how everything's going so far.
Coming up, more from the Halliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. And getting set for test number 8 here at the Corduroy Enduro. There you see the riders on the 1 minute mark. Jeremy LeBreton out of Seattle, Washington, along with a pack of KTMs as they charge into the first turn. And Blair, for the riders who are very good at motocross, they should excel at this test.
Yeah, this one gives them a chance to get out there and show the enduro riders what they can do. Curtis there, he's one of our cameramen. Jeremy's having a little problem with the traction on the grass. Probably still some dew down early in the morning. Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble. So they're mixing it up a little bit, bumping into each other. Now we've got Tristan Hart off the line here. Everybody's following him. They know he's going to get out front of them anyway, so might as well let him go. And he's on the gas as usual.
And Tristan's already opened up several bike lengths on the other riders in that group. And here is Philip Cheney.
Kind of interesting, Kevin Benoit, who obviously has the motocross experience. If this was a motocross, he would have plowed Cheney, but Cheney's his buddy. Cheney's the one who brought him to the event, and he's not going to take Philip out because Philip's going for the national championship and the win here at the Cord. So he got on the brakes there and got mixed up a little bit, and Ryder got around the outside of him too.
There you see our overall leader, Evan Smith out of Jefferson, Georgia, on the Husqvarna, jumping out in front among this group of riders.
Yeah, Connor's following him up there, and then Dylan McRitchie behind him. They've got lots of room to pass in this test, not like a lot of the tests, so they'll be fighting in the corners and see who comes out better at the end, see who does well in the gravel.
And our drone shots here right with this group as they battle through that left-hander, but among the group is the overall leader, Evan Smith.
Now we're on board with Tristan here as they come into the gravel pit. This pit's a working pit all year, and guys go out and ribbon it up a few days before the event. So the riders don't know exactly where it's going to go. It sort of follows the same sort of lines every year, but Dave Rack, who puts this together, and Doug Kent, they always find something new every year for the riders.
Well, Tristan Hart, who won our Husqvarna Dash for Cash yesterday, should have a good shot at winning this 8th test of the weekend as we ride on board with the British Columbia rider on that KTM. And so the winner here is Evan Smith. Feringer on the Sherco comes home in second. Jake Michaud third. Philip Cheney in fourth. And Ryder Heacock, another solid ride for him on that two-stroke Yamaha. He rounds out the top 5.
I like Nick Feringer's little version of a heel clicker there at the finish.
The Corduroy Enduro, Canada's toughest motorcycle national enduro since 1953. On the transit, down to our next test coming up, Blackberry Trail. And Blair, this is a great overhead shot here is the drone work from Jonathan Head.
Yeah, this is an abandoned rail bed. When they ripped up the rails and all the ties, someone was thinking and they left it open for trail use. So it's become a real thoroughfare for off-road use and in the winter snowmobile use. Connects up all the trails and keeps everybody off the roads.
We're on board here with Curtis Rumble.
Yeah, so here they're coming up, Pat, on the trail split. The pros and the experts are going to go straight, and they're going to go to the river bed, which we're calling the Devil's Staircase. It's a great example of the rugged terrain we have in Haliburton County. They call it Haliburton Highlands. I guess way back, Scottish people came here, they thought it looked like Scotland. I'm not sure, but that's what I'll go with.
And here we see that group of riders on the 1 minute mark. LeBreton along with Curtis Rumble, who's carrying one of our onboard cameras, and then Cayuga, Ontario's Graham Robothan on the 1D machine.
Yeah, they had no problem, dropped into the river and got through the first section of rock. Now they're up on the side in a little trail. Now they come into another section of rock. It's actually easier than it looks because these big flat rocks, they can ride right up them. It's like pavement almost, as long as they get over the few lumps and bumps along the way.
And now we look at Tristan Hart, who is right there sitting in third overall behind our leader so far.
Pretty smooth and fast through that part.
And now Jake Michaud, the 2016 Cord champion, and somehow he's back there running with a bunch of expert riders.
Yeah, he must have dropped back a few rows to maybe had an issue on one of the transits or something like that. That's the nice thing about our scoring. We don't force the riders to speed on the transit.
Oh, and Michaud, there it is. He goes down. He got hung up on that rock. And so Michaud will have to get back on the KTM and continue.
Yeah, that wasn't a good line off to the right there. Coming through here, we have Goulet, followed with Charles Tremblay on the Yamaha. Now we got guys jammed in the holes and stuff like that, so a little bit of a bottleneck.
Here is Connor Brogan as he goes around the 4A of Francois Patterson. So Brogan on the charge here trying to make up some time.
And here's Kevin Benoit. Looks like he's learning well in the rocks.
And so Tristan Hart will win his first tester of the Corduroy Enduro. Just 8 seconds back was Philip Cheney. Dylan McCritchie rounds out our top 3 on the Sherco. And look at that, Evan Smith for one of the rear tests. He is not up there in the first couple of positions. He's all the way back in 5th, and that's going to tighten things up overall as Philip Cheney has closed in.
Not surprised Tristan Hart did well in this one. A lot of rock, up on the pegs most of the way through. It's his style of riding.
Yeah. You guys liking the cord? The cord is the best. That was gnarly. Loving it.
And that section was awesome. A lot of just techie gnar flips and ridges and moguls. It was awesome. I love being able to, second, third gear, jumping through that stuff. I had a blast. So.
You got the Tunnel of Love coming up next.
All right.
Coming up, the Tunnel of Love, brought to you by Rev TV. You're watching the Promation Corduroy Enduro here on Rev TV. Here is Jeremy LeBreton on the 1A, the Husqvarna rider out of Seattle, Washington, the first to arrive here at the Tunnel of Love.
Pat, in here, these rocks are all mossy. I've been in there on foot. It's just like ice. And they're all sloped to the one side, so the bikes all jam up against the concrete, jams your foot peg in against the concrete. But Jeremy has no problem. Gets through, up the ramp. Here's Curtis Rumble. Oh, Curtis has got sideways. His tire caught the edge of the ramp. We put that ramp in there. Without it, the riders wouldn't get up this out of the river into the tunnel because it's just so slippery here.
He tries to reposition that motorcycle. Here comes the expert rider, Arjun Spelt, and Spelt is now hung up there on the ramp, so the tunnel entrance is blocked. No other rider is going to be able to get through there.
Spelt's got a tire on each side of the ramp, so he's having trouble. Curtis gets out the other side, but Spelt is still stuck there. And now we've got the pro riders arriving.
Jeremy Lantier there on the 3A. He's got to wait.
He gets by. That's Wayne Brogan, Connor's father there, pulling Spelt out of the way so the other riders can get through. He'll give him a hand to get out of the tunnel.
And this, of course, is one of the most popular spectator areas. A big crowd here around the Tunnel of Love, and Spelt's still having problems. Here comes Philip Cheney.
And Cheney goes right over top of his tires. That's the way the pros do it. Just use them for traction.
As the Benjamin Racine machine goes through, and here's Evan Smith.
Yeah, Evan had to wait a little while, and now he's going to go across. I think Spelt's still in there.
And that's going to cost Evan Smith, our overall leader, a lot of time.
Yeah, and Ryder's stuck behind him. So Evan's already caught Ryder by this point.
And now Justin Brassot on the 4C, the KTM rider, having a problem here on his machine.
And there's 6C, Connor Brogan's in there now. He's stuck behind Justin Brassot. So, of course, he's going to help Connor. Connor's falling over now. He's having a hard time through there, too.
So right now, no other rider can go through as the rest of the riders file into the entrance. There is Evan Smith. He is finally through and on his way.
Yeah, they're coming up the ramp on the other side. There's Ryder. Ryder gets a little sideways. Oh, but he just makes it up to the top. Last year, we saw Guy Giroux did the same thing, but he fell back into the river and he got watered out.
So Ryder Heacock is finally through and on his way.
And Spelt is finally out.
What an ordeal for the expert rider, Arjun Spelt, as he's finally able to get through. As some of our other riders.
Here we got Cam Harris going around his competition, Zach Attack there, going into the river. So Cam gets the lead on, and then he gets stuck and holds Zach up. Looks like they're both stuck in there now.
Well, they have been going back and forth, 1 and 2 in that expert class. Cam Harris.
Oh, and look at Zach went up on the rock, and did he get around Cam? No. And now we've got Gabriel Colette. He's done the same thing as Curtis. Gets sideways before the ramp. If you line that ramp up straight, it's corrugated, the tires hook well on it, and you get a good run up into the tunnel. But if there's a rock, I think, somewhere under the water that they keep hitting, because every once in a while you see a rider gets sideways and misses the ramp, and then he's really messed up for his approach.
Colette having all kinds of problems getting through the Tunnel of Love. Looks like he's finally been able to get through there along with Cam Harris.
Yeah, our expert leaders are up and out, no problem.
And here is the 7A of Jamie Hasselton. He has gone down.
And we got Tristan Hart going by him. Tristan looks like he's dropped back. I'm wondering if he had troubles with finding the trail. He's up and out of the tunnel.
And now we look at Todd Temporale, who has gone down here trying to come out of the tunnel.
He's lucky the bike stayed up, though.
Oh, and PJ Kosman out of Pennsylvania goes down on that 16C machine.
He went for a swim, but at least, that's just like Matt Spiegelmeier and Guy Giroux last year. Can't get a foot because the ramp's not wide enough and not enough speed to get up it.
Coming up, more from the Halliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. This broadcast of the Promation Corduroy Enduro is brought to you in part by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. And so as we come into Gas 2, here is Natasha LaChapelle interviewing some of our riders.
How are you feeling about today? Really good. It's been a lot of fun. It's dry out there, so we're pretty lucky this year, I hear. Lots of wet rocks. And the last test was really fun with like kind of like a sandy corner track. Still feel like I'm almost kind of warming up because I'm just used to racing straight for 2.5 hours. So trying to get used to this, turning it on, turning it off, how to pace kind of thing. So
this is our challenge, our 5th time here. We never got this far.
Blair, in addition to our women pros, experts, and pro riders, we've got 11 other classes for various riders of different ages and abilities.
That's right, Pat. They put everything into this just to get a finisher medal. A lot of money, time, and effort.
It's rough out there. Right now I just got straight water, and then I've got salt tablets, and I got some electrolyte water.
So I'm in women's intermediate. My course has been pretty nice so far. The test we just came out of was so much fun. Favorite of the day so far.
I don't know what Blair and Mike Bell got me into here, but I'm a motocross guy. We got it all set up the best we could for the woods, and I'm hanging on for now. It's pretty grueling. This isn't any joke here.
You got through the tunnel?
I did. My dad had to pull my ass through it, but we got it.
Connor Brogan on that Yamaha looking for his first test win. And Blair, here was the trouble he had going through the Tunnel of Love.
Yeah, there was a rider in front of him that jammed him up a bit, and then he just didn't have enough momentum to get up over that rock and inside the tunnel. It's really slippery.
And that's his dad, Wayne, giving him a hand as we get set here for test 11 of 22. Philip Cheney along with rider Heacock, and here is Evan Smith among the riders here on the 6-minute mark.
Brogan's hooked onto him with Dodlin, and now we got Ferringer off the line here. This is a great test, nice and sandy, but on the other side of the road we got some rock and mud and stuff like that. The experts are off in row 8 here. This is a lot of fun, but it's so long that the riders are going to be very tired by the end of it. My buddy Matt Spiegelmeier here, he just loves riding up here. He's in the plus 55 class now, so he doesn't have to push himself as hard.
And our women pros, Christine Lassard there on the 15E. Our overall leader in the women's pro class, Shelby Turner on 18D, as she goes through.
Melissa Harton, 17E. And there's my other daughter, Emma. She's in the women's pro on 18E.
And 21E is Jenny Devon Lamontagne among the top women pro riders. All of these women pro riders right now are chasing Shelby Turner, who began her weekend by taking the Husqvarna Dash for Cash. Lexi Pichu currently in second, and Melissa Harton back in the 3rd place spot overall. Philip Cheney trying to make up some ground here on Evan Smith. And now we look at the battle there between these top 2 pro riders, and Evan Smith has gone by. So Blair, he has made up over a minute on Philip Cheney.
Right now he's got a minute on him, yeah, because he started the row behind. And you notice Cheney heard him coming, and there's no use trying to, oh, look at Evan hit the tree. Cheney's back in front of him now. So as I was starting to say there's no use Cheney trying to hold him up. Move over, let Evan by, he's already made a minute on him, and hope that you're going to ride the pace. Evan's got back by Cheney now, and Cheney, see, with Evan in front of him, Cheney's right on his fender. Evan's making all the decisions for him, and Cheney doesn't have to think about where the trail's going. He's just opening the throttle whenever Evan starts to open it, and it makes it so much faster. Cheney's going to have a very good ride through here compared to all the other riders except for Evan, because Evan's obviously setting a very fast pace.
Nowhere for Philip Cheney to go by Evan Smith there. Smith has been dominant so far as Cheney continues to chase that front-running Husqvarna machine of Evan Smith out of Jefferson, Georgia, who has been dominant here so far in day number 2 after a great opening day here at the Corduroy Enduro.
You see, when it opens up just a little bit, Evan is so smooth. He makes that Husqvarna suspension look like it's really working well.
And Evan Smith continues to run just ahead of Philip Cheney as these 2 riders running on this single track the way they are overall. Evan Smith, your overall leader. Philip Cheney trying to close the gap.
Now watch right here, Pat. Over that log, Evan Smith's on the gas really hard right away. Cheney, just a bit of a hesitation. Evan Smith gaps him, and he can't make it back up. They get back into a little bit of tight stuff at the end of it, but without Evan in front of him leading him, he can't run that pace. And you'll see at the end of it that Evan has actually pulled a few seconds on him. Now Cheney doesn't have his leader anymore.
Philip Cheney doing all he can to keep it close, but Evan Smith is just disappearing away from that KTM of Philip Cheney as these two riders continue to run 1-2 overall.
Yeah, this is the part here. You see, just before the tree, there was some mud. Evan lost his front end, put him into the tree, and look at the tree. He's taking a good chunk of bark out of it. I'm not sure if that's his front axle or if his foot peg. Doesn't look like he hurt his foot. He got going very quickly and caught Cheney back up again.
And so we complete the run here in Test 11, Kirk Somerville. Evan Smith, the winner, but look at that, over a minute ahead of Philip Cheney with Tristan Hart in third, Nick Feringer fourth. Ryder Heacock rounds out the top five, so Evan Smith will add to his lead. GP Bikes is Canada's power sports authority. Your one-stop shop for parts, accessories, apparel, motorcycles, and service. Street, off-road, adventure, ATV, snow, and marine. Order online or come visit our 50,000 square foot showroom stacked floor to ceiling with all your favorite brands. Our friendly expert staff can help you get geared up for your next adventure. Find what you need for your ride at gpbikes.com. We now head on the transit down to Test 12 at Ken Somerville.
So these are Happy Trails trails that we built last year for the Kawartha ATV Association.
Hence the name.
Hence the name Ken's Somerville Test.
This test is a pretty fast test. A lot of it is two-track like this. Oh, he's having a little problem figuring out which way to go there. Realize what the arrows were, but the straight route is what you generally look for first.
Philip Cheney in our 12th test of the 22 that make up this Corduroy Enduro, and he is really on the charge, starting to close in here on Ryder Heacock.
Yeah, that's Patterson, who Ryder's got by. He's on the minute in front of these guys. He's on row 4, so he's going to get by Patterson here, and then he'll have Ryder to lead for him for a little while. Hopefully that'll bring him back to a good time through this test. Now he's got to try to catch Ryder.
Francois Patterson to LaSalle, Quebec. Ryder getting past there by Philip Cheney, and now Cheney on the charge, trying to reel back in here. Ryder Heacock.
Oh, he went a little wide on that corner. Went up over the rock, threw a little roost at Cheney. I think Ryder's going to hear the 4-stroke now. Ryder's on a 2-stroke Yamaha, and Cheney obviously on the 4-stroke KTM, so he lets Cheney by. He knows Cheney's caught back up to him. He knows he's going to get a better test time if he follows Cheney through this.
Philip Cheney up into 5th, Ryder Heacock running in 6th as they work their way around trying to catch Evan Smith, who is currently 2nd in this test so far.
And there's Connor. Looks like he had a good ride through there. Jeremy Dodman.
And we go back to Theo Lepley running just outside of the top 10. Dylan McCritchie.
Obviously, Dylan didn't like the fast stuff through there. Nick Feringer got through fairly well.
7D on the Yamaha, Charles Tremblay in 8th, and all the way back in 19th, Gabriel Collette.
Tristan had a good run through there, a 3rd place.
And there is your winner here of test number 12, Ken Somerville, Jake Michaud.
And in the expert class, we had the same names up top there.
Madass and Cleland have been back and forth in this expert class as they continue to battle it out. Taking a look at our women pro riders, another test win for Shelby Turner. Melissa Harton in 2nd, Lexi Pishu 3rd.
Lexi must have had trouble in this test. Maybe she went down because there's quite a big gap between Melissa Harton and herself. They have been very close in the other tests so far, but there's almost a minute difference in this test.
We're at MNR Inn. We're shortly after 2 o'clock. We got the pros, got a couple already out on track, and some more rolling in. Connor Brogan, one of the favorites here in Ontario, is up the line right now. And we're about to count them in. Let's go racing.
So we got Evan Smith and Connor and Dylan McRitchie all into the M&R trail. I really like this trail. It's only 3K long, but it's tight. You're on the pegs the whole time, very technical. I see Tristan Hart and Nick Farringer. Those are the guys who are going to love this trail.
Philip Cheney, Ryder Heacock among that group of riders. And here's Jeremy Dodlin and Donald DeRoche as some of these riders have moved off of their regular minute.
Yeah, that transit I just talked about up through the Millennium Trail, it's not easy, and there's not a lot of extra time. Since there's no road in that transit, it's we don't give them a lot of extra time. So probably if they were taking it easy, making sure they didn't hit the bikes on rocks and stuff like that, they probably lost a little time. And when they got to the test, the start of the test for this one, they probably said, you know what, I'm going to give myself a minute or two, get a drink, get ready so I can charge real hard, because this is a sprint, this test, with only 3K long.
A great run for Tristan Hart as he takes the win here in test number 13, M&R Trail.
Yeah, he's only 0.8 seconds quicker than Nick Farringer through there.
And now here is Jeremy LeBreton, one of the first riders, heading off here on this short test.
Yeah, the test, we throw it in there right before the finish because they've worked their way all the way to the west. Now we got a long ways to come back, and this is right before the finish, so at least the riders get another little shot to warm up, loosen their bodies up, and then they'll get into
and LeBreton there, you saw, almost made it into the pond. As we follow him around here, our drone pilot, Dan Robert, giving us some great photos here as he works around that pond.
Now we've got, so this is the first time today, we've got camera work from Tristan Hart on board with him at the start of the Wheelers test.
Tristan Hart looking for yet another test win after winning the Husqvarna Dash for Cash back on Friday in a dominating performance.
Yeah, I think he's looking at least to catch up to Cheney. I don't know if he can catch Evan Smith, but I'm sure he wants to put some good tests in and see if he can get second place, and hopefully Evan has another test like M&R, and he might be able to make a dent in Evan's times too, Evan Smith's times.
Well, he's really hustling that KTM through this section as he works his way through that right-hand turn. That is Kevin Dupuis chasing him as they go back into the forest.
Yeah, this is a really tight little trail. It's called Four Wheelers. The family is the Wheelers. There's two brothers and two wives, so there's four of them, and they all ride four-wheelers. So they just said, hey, we want the Corduroy to come through our property. So we've used every inch we can to get the 3.5 or 3K in here. So you'll see the riders twist back and forth, and it's very tight on the pegs, a lot of it. So I think Tristan should do well in here.
Tristan Hart on that KTM working his way through one of the shortest of the tests, and he will complete the run.
Yeah, not a great time for Tristan. Kind of surprised. It didn't look like he had any trouble there.
What happened out there, boys?
Was fun.
Yeah? Were you with them?
Yeah, for a ways.
Okay.
Until I hit it through at the end.
Yeah, now we've got Connor Brogan into Wheelers. He looks like he's getting a good time through here, flowing through the trees. He's not with Evan Smith. I don't know what's happened there, if Evan's dropped back or Connor has.
Connor Brogan on that Yamaha looking for his first test win here of the Corduroy Enduro after having a great event a year ago.
Yeah, I think Connor's going to be a little disappointed with this day, but he came on really strong on Sunday of last year's event, so hopefully he'll have a good Sunday.
Hustling that Yamaha around the pond as he's about to make that right-hand turn and back up into the forest as he comes to the end of his run. And now back to the 66th running of the Formation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes.
Yeah, the Yamaha's looking good here. He's riding a 250 Yamaha. He's gone back and forth, two-stroke, four-stroke, but he seems to like the four-stroke the best.
Evan Smith has led this Corduroy Enduro since the opening test here on Friday. He continues to add to his lead, running right there with fellow American on the 6E machine, Dylan McRitchie.
Yeah, McRitchie's been Evan's shadow whenever he can. Makes for an easier ride for Evan. So this test, he's staying with them so far. Looks like it's Connor who has stayed on the minute, and these two have dropped back. because Connor was in the test before him. Maybe he's just decided to ride by himself. Maybe he's trying to mix things up because he's not having a good day. He thought, so you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing.
Evan Smith opening up a little bit of a gap here on Dylan McRitchie as they run that single track here through the forest. Coming up to the end of this test as Evan Smith tries to add to what has been a growing lead here during day number 2 of the Cord.
Now we've got Cheney. Cheney's into the test. He's on his own too. I wonder where Ryder Heacock has gone. Ryder's having a great day. Of the Ontario rider, he's the one out front of the Ontario riders. I think he's sitting 5th overall by this point.
Cheney trying to make up some time here on this final test of day number 2 as he hustles that KTM through the last section of this test. He'll complete the run. We'll see where he has ended up and whether or not he's been able to close that gap up on Evan Smith.
I don't know. I think it's good, but I crashed a few times in the test and
in this test?
Other tests. But I think everybody crashed, so we'll be tight and can't wait to see the result tonight.
It's interesting to see the tests that Philip crashed in aren't the ones that really cost him a lot of time. Kem Somerville, he still had a good time, and in the Miserable Lake he had a good time. Maybe what it is, he would have won those tests if he hadn't fallen down. And where he cost him time was in Kirk Somerville. He lost a minute 11 to Evan Smith.
Well, as we wrap up day number 2 of the Corduroy Enduro, Evan Smith with another test win over Nick Ferringer, along with Dylan McRitchie in 3rd. So the Americans 1, 2, 3. Then Philip Cheney in 4th. And rounding out the top 5 was Ryder Heacock. Two of our top women pro riders, Melissa Harton and Lexi Pichu, heading out as they're both trying to catch Shelby Turner.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Melissa Harton has dropped back to Lexi Pichu's number on row 19. So they're ready to go. Oh, Melissa's missed a corner there. See the W, that means she's gone the wrong way. She corrects right away, but not quick enough to stay in front of Lexi Pichu. Lexi's by her. I wonder if she's going to be able to stay with her or if Lexi's going to pull a little gap on her here.
Well, both of these riders have been chasing Shelby Turner, who has been unbeatable so far here in the Cord. Melissa Harton on the Beta, Lexi Pichu on the Husqvarna.
Yeah, it looks like she got a little bit of a gap there, but not much. They're staying within sight. Just 2 seconds is what Lexi pulled out on Melissa in that short test.
Having a look at her overall women's pro leader, Shelby Turner, on that 18D machine. Tom Brodrovics on the expert class machine, running right with the pro women's leader as they work their way around the pond. Shelby Turner trying to get around the expert rider here, Brodrovics, as they work their way around and work into the forest.
Yeah, she's followed him since the start of this test. I'm surprised it's taken her this long to get around her. Jenny Devine, La Montagne, another one of our pro women, currently looking in 4th place, heads off into wheelers.
Thanks, Melissa. Well done.
Rabaconda in my truck. I've been practicing a little bit, but I'm still not the fastest with this, so we're going to see how it goes.
Well, the riders were certainly good sports in volunteering to take part in this competition. This was a great battle between Ryder Heacock and Connor Brogan. As good as they were on the racetrack, this might have been even a little closer.
Now the final, we did elimination heats. We had Nick Ferringer against Philip Cheney, but Philip Cheney had the levers flying. The reason why this is something that enduro riders need to do is because at the end of the day, as we said earlier, no one can work on your bike, so they've got to be able to change the tire. You can't change the wheel at the 6 days. You have to change the tire. So you've got to get quick at it. I think Phil did it in under 2 minutes. And he decided that I should be involved in his celebration here with the champagne and Ryder Heacock. So it was a lot of fun. Everybody got to relax a little bit, but the riders obviously were off to bed pretty early. You can see a little bit of road rash on Phil. He fell down a few times on day 2 on his elbow there, but everybody's getting ready now for Sunday morning. Another big day of racing.